Right.
You know, so.
He did what it takes to win, but we know
he's not used to getting beat up.
He can't be happy with
wins
that. He's
without
never
getting
lost
beat
a
up.
round
Right.
before this fight.
Is going to be very happy with this performance here. I think
No.
a lot of people were expecting him to push Shogun away real quick and not have it last as long as it did and go to the decision. I don't think a lot of people expected that.
Yeah,
I didn't.
And I go back to I don't know, and I don't know if Machida wasn't saying anything in order to hide something, but I just felt like something was either wrong with his legs or his back from the very get-go. He just didn't. He wasn't loose. He didn't have his moves, and
Well, you know, he's a wrestler. He's a jiu-jitsu guy, and he didn't take him down.
Right,
I don't understand that at all. If somebody's kicking my legs, I'm taking him to the ground.
right. So you
At
don't
least
stand
it's
there
all.
and
Plus
keep letting
Machida had the pressure of 5,000, I read this somewhere, 5,000 dormant martial arts schools or karate schools across the country that were crossing their fingers hoping that he'd win so their business would come back. So, you know, he had that pressure also.
I'll tell you what, I think a lot of people gained a whole new level of respect for Shogun. I think he win or lose, he still came across as a very tough competitor. And I think the next fight that they do, when they do a rematch, is going to be twice the money and twice the exposure.
oh, absolutely. I think Shogun's still the #1 contender for the belt. They're each going to fight one guy in between, and then if there's nobody. No, this is just my guess, but
No,
I
they're
guess
coming right back with a rematch.
they're coming right back with a rematch.
Right
Nothing
back.
in between.
Nope.
January. It was
No, I
supposed
think
to be.
I think it'd be smart to have a fight in between.
No, they're not going to.
But they're going to need time for it. I mean, I don't think Machida. I think Machida's going to step back and look at the video a little bit more closely on this fight.
Brad, they're saying in the house here that they've already announced the fight.
Yeah,
It's the
January 2nd.
January 2nd. They're meeting again.
Oh wow! Holy shit!
Yeah, I didn't
No,
know
that's
that
when
either.
Lesnar's fighting.
No,
That's-
Lesnar's
It's a January
he's off.
show.
January 2nd
January
is his
6th.
fight. That's when he's going to
Yeah.
fight.
He got pulled off.
It's 106, I believe.
Yeah, they're supposed to fight
But they're
January
trying to
2nd.
put him on the Lesnar card. I mean, that's January 6th, I believe.
Yeah, that's supposed to be their big
Yeah, it's going to
part of the
be.
year.
Oh,
so,
is that the second?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be putting. They're each other's next opponents. So, Brad, what's going on with Combat Sports Commission and stuff right now? I know you guys are picking up some. I know you've been doing some sanctioning of events over in Illinois. You did your first one out there in Alton. You've got another one coming up in December. Pretty soon you're taking over the world.
We got some good events coming on board. And I'm gonna tell you what, this last one that we just sanctioned, which I was very, very happy with. I think the promoter was too, surprisingly, because it was an outside event in October, and which we had long talks before that show, and I was like really stressed. Hey, let's try to find an indoor venue because it's gonna be cold as hell outside. And but you know what? I'll tell you what. I talked to all my officials. I talked to the promoter, and I think they had very, very good understanding with all the fighters about the situation, about the situation with the outside and the venue, and they all really worked well with it, and the show went over very well. So congratulations to Jason and Cage Ready Fightwear, and welcome to MMA and after his first promotion, he did really well with this show. So I think he's going to look at the dates a little bit more next time and maybe work on an indoor venue for his later shows. But during the summer, he's probably going to work on another outdoor show. We've got Jason Lyons coming up over there, which we've been picking these guys up recently because of the drop from the mandate on amateur sanctioning over there in the state, which is one of my big pet peeves right now.
That ain't why you're picking them up. It's because of me. I'm sending them your way.
Jen, I'm pretty sure you're stirring up quite a bit of shit over there.
What are you talking about?
So, Brad, these guys who are doing these shows over in Illinois right now, they don't have to use a sanctioning body, but they're choosing to take that extra expense so they do the show right. Is that correct?
Well, I've talked with some of the promoters, and some of the things I explained to them, which is, we've been going back and forth with the state of Illinois because they claim that there's a mandate. They claim that they've dropped all the mandate and the regulation covering amateur sanctioning. So when I talked to Nancy Ilg on the phone from the state of Illinois, she explained to me that, I asked her, I said, so the sanction bodies are going to be able to come across the lines and sanction. She's like, yeah, no problem. You don't have to worry about getting approved or nothing. And so I was like, this sounds kind of crazy. I thought it was kind of crazy that they were dropping any type of regulation on in the first place, because what that does is it opens up the door to a lot of those guys that are like fly-by-night promoters, and those guys that are running the shows just because they got a cage, they think they can run a show. And they're not really, staying on top of the fact. They're saying that these guys have to carry insurance, have to report that they're having a show, but there's nobody to follow up on that. So who's to say that somebody down the road isn't having a show, throwing 10 fights together, making a couple grand, and getting some guys seriously hurt because they're not really watching over the regulations that they should be installing on their shows?
Well, it'll happen. And we've seen it in other states. It absolutely will happen if somebody doesn't come in and at least dictate that somebody babysit a little bit. Them damn scummy promoters.
I think what they should do is they should just like with amateur mixed martial arts, which Jim, I've talked with you and extent about this, and I think mixed martial arts, and I don't care how they do it, and nationally we need to have some form of an amateur mixed martial arts program, not just state to state to state to state, because there's so many different rules, there's so many different ways that they're fighting from state to state, that it makes the sport unsafe across borders. Of course, we've got, our sanctioning bodies here within the state of Missouri, and they all seem to be doing pretty good. My biggest pet peeves are, what other people's may not be. But my biggest thing is about the safety, about reporting, making sure you're getting these things in, letting these fighters' fights being recorded on reporting sites, so that, promoters that are trying to throw shows can get correct records on these fighters instead of, guesses and well, I think it's this or I think it's that. We need to try to get a more accurate system in place. But I think one of the things we need to look at when it comes to the sport is having on a cross the line everywhere doing the same thing. One set of rules. If it's one sanctioned body or three, everybody on the same line of amateur mixed martial arts.
Man, in a perfect world, but what I've seen is that the problem is, and they'll go unnamed, but it seems like some of the sanctioning bodies are interested in what you're saying, getting it nationally regulated, but through their group. They're not into, everyone's trying to get the...
I've even mentioned this to you, Jim, that I really don't even care if it's CSC.
I know.
We need one organization, not three. We need one organization, and what that'll do is it'll put everybody on the same page, it'll put all these fighters on the same level of fighting. We got one organization. Then what you can do is the same as amateur boxing. What you end up having is amateur boxing right now. USA Boxing registers all their fighters. Their registrations include fighter insurance. What that can help out for is the promoters that are promoting amateur mixed martial arts. Each one of these fighters are already insured through their registration. You don't have to buy individual insurance for your shows. Amateur boxing does it, and they've had more deaths recorded in amateur boxing than they've had in amateur mixed martial arts. And it's no more dangerous of a sport than being amateur. We have one set of equipment across the line, a certain type of glove for the amateur fighters. Certain types of rules. Of course, no knees to the head, no elbow strikes or anything else like that. And set it up amateur. And prep these guys for the pro. Don't just throw a bunch of rules at them and say, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is how you're going to do it. Do it.
Brad,
Go ahead.
well, you talked about USA Boxing, and it's also USA Wrestling. That's good for all the high school wrestlers and the amateur wrestlers. You're exactly right. They have that universal insurance card. Costs the wrestlers $35 a year, or I don't think it's much more than that. And then when they go to the show, they show them that card. If they don't have that card, they don't get to fight in whatever event they show up at.
That's right.
And that makes a ton of sense. And Steve Kanogle and I came up with this about 2 years ago, and started to pursue it. And it was longer than that.
You were the first one I've ever heard say it.
Yeah, and we talked about it, and it was the guys from Kick actually who kind of shot us down and said, "No way, we've got this all covered," and act like they were doing everything and taking over the world. And but you know what? It's a great idea, and it's a good time for it.